May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15, verse 13. All right, Dustin, because I know Lance is going to be wrong. When do you put up your Christmas tree?
Well, my wife, being Filipino, says it's the Ber months, so she wants to put it up like in September.
Wow.
And we came to a compromise because traditionally, like, my family would either be the beginning of December or right after Thanksgiving. But I've come to a compromise that we do it right after my birthday. So November 7th is when we get the green light to put up the tree.
Yes, Lance, it's your turn.
I'll probably put up my tree tonight. While we're recording this, is the day before Thanksgiving. Usually we wait like right after Thanksgiving. I like to have it right before Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, I almost wish I could have it up earlier, but it's fine.
Like September?
To me, the latest is like December 1st or right after Thanksgiving. That's like the latest I would do it.
I am the after Thanksgiving. Like I like Thanksgiving, and I feel like we always gloss over Thanksgiving for Christmas. Like, I was looking for Thanksgiving decorations for the yard this year. There was zero. I found zero Thanksgiving yard decorations in Target. I just wanted a turkey to put out there because I had my orange lights outside.
I love Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving too, but like I feel like it gets overshadowed by Christmas. And I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday, so don't get me wrong. But that's why I don't like to put up the tree until Thanksgiving is over. So usually Black Friday or that following weekend is when we'll put up the tree.
Yeah,
so it's interesting that all three of us were different.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I just, something about the lights just makes me a little extra happy. Well, so that's kind of why it's.
I agree with you. I prefer after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, and I get what you're saying with the happiness, because but to me, less is more, so it's just that much more special when we have it. And I'm saying this when we decorate for like Halloween super early, so, but I mean, that's a little different.
Yeah, and I also don't really decorate for Halloween at all, so it's like.
Me either.
I have a question. I want to know if you remember, Lance's birthday is in early December. Do you remember as a kid, mom and dad asking you if it was okay having the tree up for your birthday? And you're like, yeah, no, it was totally okay.
I honestly don't remember,
which
is weird because I remember a lot about my childhood, and I feel like I remember more than you do sometimes, but I don't remember it. But 100% I know it would be like, of course I want it up because I love the lights and the trees.
I think because your birthday's in December, they didn't want you to feel
like it
was
just
overshadowed by Christmas, because especially as a kid, like you're getting, you might be getting, presents twice that month.
Yeah, and I also was like, I would always get super bummed because you especially when you live further up north, you always want it to be like, oh, I want a white Christmas. You want it to snow on Christmas, and that's kind of like, oh, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted it to snow on my birthday, and it almost never snowed on my birthday. It was so annoying that it would just never snow.
Like hoping for that snow day, no school.
Yeah, or just I just love snow. I didn't even care if I went to school. It was just I wanted to have snow on my birthday, and it maybe happened like once or twice.
Wow.
I feel like, and it was just so disappointing to have your birthday in December and not have snow because I love snow. Now, as an adult, I don't really care for snow, but I like how it looks. But shoveling it is not fun.
As someone with a summer birthday, I found a summer birthday is much more interesting when you're a kid and you have summer vacation. And now, like, I hate the summer, I hate the heat. I like the fall, I like the cool weather. So it kind of sucks. So today we are talking about the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and this can be a stressful time, and maybe you feel obligated for certain things, and we're just going to kind of talk about it and maybe why we shouldn't worry too much and not miss and just enjoy the holiday season. I'm Blade O'Neill, and joining me as always is my brother Lance and Dustin Smith.
Hi.
Who wants to kick us off? Because I've got a few things, but I think I want to save them.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to talk about just with everything going on, the hustle and bustle of everything, to make sure that you're focused on, I guess, the cliche reason for the season type, saying, to where with parties and winter concerts and shopping and everything else going on, you get to the point between from Thanksgiving all the way to Christmas to where all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's Christmas Eve in 2 days, and like, where's the time gone and where's our focus been?
Right. It's like every weekend you're going out, you got to do the shopping for I got to get all the food for the Thanksgiving, got to get all the food for Christmas dinner, all the food for New Year's dinner, and all the gifts for the kids, all the gifts for your parents, all the gifts for your siblings, and just like, it kind of just, you almost get consumed with it and you don't even realize, because you're just trying to focus on that, being prepared for that day instead of just.
And then you're overthinking it. You're stressing out,
and
like,
it's just like you lose your focus.
Enough? Is
right.
that good enough?
And then really, like, you kind of lose the whole meaning of, like, what are we here for? What is the reason? It's to, like, gather up and to be with one another. And sure, gifts is nice, and it's good to be a good giver and just to, kind of show your love for one another with the gifts. But it's also really important that we don't get over zealous and just consumed. Don't let it overcome you and you lose your sight on what really matters, right? In the holiday season.
So how do you do that? Maybe you try to keep, because people go to church for Christmas Eve,
Right.
and that's good and stuff, but like, what more can you do? And my first suggestion is, like, maybe, like, don't forget to maybe have some prayer time, whether it's because, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve dinner. How often, like, do you forget? And, like, okay, the turkey's ready now, the mashed potatoes are heated up, and the stuffing's ready. Okay, now so we're just going to start serving, and we got to cut the cranberry sauce out of the can, because that's the best cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's important to make sure that you're still doing your daily prayers, and then doing extra prayers, especially when you are going out shopping, to be like, because how not only how you might get consumed, but just when you go out shopping, people outside in general are just, they're kind of a little extra crazy.
Well,
what I mean? Because you can tell,
You
just
are
like
putting
the vibe,
that so nicely.
the vibe in Target and Walmart is just, people are just, they don't care. They'll cut you off in line and do all these crazy things, and just to make sure that you keep your focus, you do your worship music and your prayers, maybe do a little extra during the holiday season.
Well, and the amount of people that is there while you're shopping, like, tenfold, like, so, like, I'm more of an introvert as it is.
Me too.
And I cannot stand crowds. And to be in there where you're kind of like, not necessarily pushing and shoving, but you just want to look, and then people are bumping into you. No one's saying sorry. It's just, it takes a lot of your patience.
People are fighting over parking spaces.
Or even just, carts, or just being in the way, and people just, oh, gosh, man. Oh, and you get to a point where you have to constantly remind yourself, like, and there's a reason why they had those WWJD bracelets, to where you're just like, oh no, Jesus wouldn't be doing, okay, I'll be fine.
But I mean, also, aside from praying, like, remind yourself in those situations, like, you're gonna get through this. You know to expect it. Don't let it get to you.
Oh yeah, just let it go. Just, it is what it is.
And this can be the opportunity to be the light, be the salt, be the example.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might influence someone, in that situation,
Right.
by how you behave.
Well, I like to do a lot of my shopping before, not even just Black Friday and all that nonsense, but like even before, like I'll find something in like September and be like, that'll be good. I got to be quiet about this, but this will be a good type thing. That way, when there comes a time to do the shopping in December, I like to people watch. So even though I'm an introvert, I like to just kind of sit back and watch how people interact and just kind of like see that social commentary.
Because, as you guys are bringing up, if you have a problem with road rage, like I admit, like I did, I had a huge problem with it. I'm so much better now. One of the things I credit, this is going to sound silly, is I read The Art of War, Sun Tzu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And, no, that's not biblical, but bear with me, I have a point. So one of the things it says is like you don't fight a battle, you don't fight a war unless heaven is on your side. Now, obviously, he wasn't a Christian, right? But you can sort of apply a Christian principle to this concept, right? Like, you know, like you don't start fighting with people,
No.
you know, like unless you are so in the right, you know, like you should not be going to battle, right?
Well, you know what I like to do? So, you know, during
And I have
road
a Bible verse.
oh, perfect. So like with the road rage and everything else, like people expect, you know, the middle finger, the expletives, things like that. I like to give a wave and a thumbs up because like I actually found that makes people even madder because they expect you to do it. So I just kind of like, good job, buddy.
Yeah,
So
I just shake my head, and that's what gets me past it. So James 1 verse 5 and 6, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. So you can get really thrown off by there.
Oh.
Here's another one, Proverbs 3 verse 30. I thought I had the page, but it is the next page. So this one says, do not accuse anyone for no reason when they have done you no harm. Like, did the person stealing your spot, like, did they do you harm? Is this the end of the world? You know, like, do you have to start a fight over this? Like, no. Let them do it. Go on. It's going to be okay.
Yeah,
You
it's not nothing's not it's never worth it.
It's not
And you
worth
don't-
it.
And here's another thing that I think is also a good perspective is you never know what people are going through,
Mhm.
right? So you don't know why that person did whatever it is that they did, whether they cut you off in traffic or they stole the cart or they stole the parking spot. You don't truly know what they are currently going through. And not only that, but you also don't know if they are a Christian or not. And a lot of times people that act like that, it's just, you're not the salt and light of the earth, so it's definitely godless behavior.
Mhm.
And if anything, instead of getting mad, you should just, usually I start feeling now, I just feel bad for the person because I'm like, wow, like
You're such a
acting that
miserable
way
human
because
being.
like you're just living a godless life. Like you don't have joy, you don't have peace in your life, and that's how you're running around acting because you don't have the light of God in you. And it's sad. Or I mean, you could, and maybe you're just going through a rough time. Maybe you're in a really bad valley. And if that's the case, then I just want to pray for you, if anything, right? So I think that's a good mindset to keep, is just don't get consumed with how they behave and let it affect you negatively. You should just feel bad and actually want to love on them and pray on them even more
and
because of it.
And speaking of negative behavior, you know, and thank you to all of you who have been liking, commenting, and viewing. And I also want to thank, you know, all the troll comments, because you guys have really helped stimulate the algorithm. Like we started getting like thousands of views on YouTube. So we really appreciate it. And they're probably not even going to watch this episode, but I have prayed for all the trolls so far. So thank you for that. And what's funny is, in any mean-spirited things that were attempted to be said, a comment is one of the best things you can do for the algorithm on YouTube. So it's been fantastic. Last little verse for this is Proverbs 20 verse 3, and this is probably the best one so far. It is to one's honor to avoid strife, but every fool is quick to quarrel. So don't be that guy.
No, yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, you should never lash out in anger. You should always lash out. You
that's
should
why,
always
show
respond in
happiness and
love.
wave and be like, hey, good job.
Yeah, God bless you. You know, have a
Yeah.
good day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is definitely less biblical. But like, if you're acting in anger, but I mean, excuse me. I would bet there's a verse about not reacting in anger.
There's a couple.
Yeah,
But-
there's a few.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm kind of taking it back here. But you're kind of like giving power over you to the other person. You know, you're giving that person power over you.
Well,
You know,
you're justifying their behavior based on your reaction as well.
But by you know, if you were messing with me and you see it was getting me angry, you're essentially controlling me because
Well,
I'm
they're giving them a foothold essentially.
exactly
Right.
exactly. So
That's what I mean.
it's bad and it doesn't work. So, you know, that's what being the bigger person is. And like, it's not just a saying, like there's a reason for it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I have on the road rage stuff.
Okay.
Because I'm as a recovered
Rageaholic.
road rageaholic, I would say. Because I have turned.
So I have a verse that kind of hits on it a little bit. So, and it's just more so about like the behavior, you know, just how the world is, right? So Romans 12 verse 2, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may not prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So, you know, just don't be conformed to the world. If everyone's acting a certain way, if everyone's being mean and rude and just godless and lawlessness, that's not how we should act, just because the rest of the world's acting that way, right? Don't get consumed and fall into that trap of just constantly getting mad and doing all those kinds of things.
Well, that also carries over to commercialism, you know, like conforming to the world, right? So like
buying
not just that,
things.
but just giving into the worldly view of like what Christmas is or the holidays and things like that.
Yeah, and it's just about presents. It's just about, I got to buy all these people things. It's all about just putting up the lights, and you know, you just kind of lose what the whole purpose of the holidays is, right? It's about Jesus. And I actually have it's not really funny. It's sad story about this that a friend of mine actually was just telling me. So he lives somewhere up north from here. And he has a neighbor who decorates Christmas like crazy, like one of those houses that people will like drive to his house just to see the house kind of thing. Like he starts in September just to like get stuff going because he has so many things he has to put up. But he said that you would not believe how many people would pull up to his house, and he has, you know, Christmas lights, Rudolph, you know, the whole 9 yards. But then in the front and the bottom, he'll have like a cross and a little baby Jesus. And he said you would not believe how many people go, wow, you know, this is really cool, but what's with the baby? He said people say it all the time. Every year, there's multiple people that'll be like, what's with the baby? Like, how lost are you that you don't understand that you see a baby and it's Christmas time, that's about baby
I can't
Jesus.
even
like
comprehend that.
It's like unfathomable to me, but it just shows you how like twisted the world has become. That it's
I
like,
can't believe we've
but you
gotten
would
to
even
that point.
question it. Like, what is that? Like,
Pushed away.
like
I get excited when I see a baby Jesus. I'm like, oh, how cool! Like they put that up there. Like that's like one of my favorite types of Christmas decorations. Like, I mean, how do you not want a nativity scene?
yeah, it's just, to me, that's just sad. You know, when people are just questioning that.
I can't believe. I mean, I believe. I
I
definitely
believe
do,
it.
but like,
Yeah, but it's
just I can't believe it's here.
and the fact that people would even just ask too.
Right.
You wouldn't be like, oh, right. Like, I understand maybe if you aren't Christian that you might forget for a second, like what it was actually about, and then be like, oh, right. Yeah. Baby Jesus, Christianity. But to just be like, yeah, what's with the baby?
I guess I feel like even non-Christians know that though. Like, I don't know. That's a trip.
It's the time we live in.
Yeah,
That's why we got this podcast.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And hopefully you're getting something out of this.
So one of the things, thing about Christmas time and everything else, it's traditions, right?
Yeah.
There's always traditions with like, at Christmas time we do this, at Christmas time we do this. I think one way to kind of help remember the reason and everything else is by creating those traditions yourself. And it's also important, like if you do have a family, if you do have kids, by having these traditions that are centered around Christ, that it's something that's passed down, you know, and it becomes generational, you know. So like it could be something as simple as like doing an advent calendar, but it's scripture, or you do something where you know, like every Christmas Eve we read the Christmas story. We read we read Mark, and we read how Jesus came to Bethlehem, and we talk about all the pieces, and maybe you use the nativity scene where you bring out a piece every day up until Christmas, and then on the 24th you put that baby that nobody knows about, you know, in the center, you know, and or just other traditions like, because everyone's giving gifts, everyone's receiving gifts. It's all about gifts at times. Then we focus about that, but the actual act of giving gifts, maybe not necessarily like giving to the homeless, which you can do, or working at a like soup kitchen, that sort of thing. But even with your neighbors, like growing up, my neighborhood was great, where you knew everybody, you knew who all your neighbors were, and you'd go watch football games, you would do this, and kids would play together. And I found, at least where I live, Blade, your neighborhood's a little better, with especially on 4th of July. It's fantabulous.
Hey, don't dox me.
No. But just seeing like a neighborhood come together and things like that is really great.
There's a great unity in this neighborhood for the most part, which is cool.
And like I'm guilty of it. So my neighborhood, my neighborhood is very antisocial, and I'm part to blame because I go to work, I come home, I'm with my family, and most of the people around me are renters, and so they're not there very long as it is. But establishing a tradition with, maybe you make baked goods, and that's what we're going to start doing this year, is like having baked goods and taking cookies across the street to the neighbor that like brings our misdelivered mail. And she doesn't have to, but she does.
That's cool.
But like bring them cookies, so you're not just talking to them when they need your Ring camera footage of like when someone's stealing your catalytic converter, right?
Yep.
But just to go there, and then you can kind of be in their lives, and just that act of giving, and then just using, the whole family's involved. You're making cookies together. You're saying why you're doing it. And
yeah. And so to be on the other side of that for a second, to kind of help prove your point here. I had this neighbor who lived across the street, and I talked to him quite often. He was a wonderful neighbor. He was a police officer, and he used to send us these little family Christmas cards every year, him and his family. And we really looked forward to it every year. It was super cool. Sorry. And during COVID, he got in a motorcycle accident, and he died. And what was weird was, as an officer, like he had some deeper conversation with me, and he told me, how he fears that, one day he could, say goodbye to his wife and kids, and he fears that one day that there'll just be a cop car sitting out there, because that's what happens when an officer dies, is they come and they stay there for a few days. And this day that this happened, I was like, why is this cop car outside? Why this cop car outside? And we happened to see this, the post on Facebook, what happened. And like, it was surreal. So, but I missed that. He was such a good guy, and he did so many things for me. Like, he would see me working on the car, like, hey, you need a ladder, you need a tool. And like, I missed that Christmas card.
Well, here's to piggyback on that. So another good reason for going out and do that is Christmas time is hard for a lot of people, especially when you are losing loved ones, and you start thinking about, this is what my dad was like at Christmas. This was, but you lost your dad like 2 years ago, or you lost a friend, or things like that. And you start thinking about them during holidays, during Christmas, because the rest of the year you might not think about them as much. And so you start thinking, so by going out and doing something or giving something to your neighbors, you don't know if the house you're going to is like a widow, right, or something happened that year, or like you said, they're used to getting something and they don't get it anymore. And all of a sudden you show up with cookies and be like, it's been a year since someone has thought to give me, and it's not for our own, like, you
never know what impact it could have, because you don't know, even if you see the neighbor all the time and you think everything's good, but you don't know what happened with their parents, their uncle, their grandma, or whatever. It's just, you never know how you can be the salt or the light in their life, for that moment, to maybe give them a little cheering up. And maybe that's what they also might want. Maybe they'll want some prayer too. You never know when somebody just needs somebody to pray for them.
And what a great thing to look out for when you're out and about and you see people maybe upset, prayed for the discernment for someone who needs prayer while you're out and about. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, though, that'll be one of their stories.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had good neighbors. I just don't really have.
I've got cool neighbors too, and I still do. I miss that guy at my last house. And I hope his wife is doing okay. And I felt for her, but that Christmas card was so cool. But it was a little thing, but we looked forward to getting it every year. So that's a great suggestion. One thing I don't know if we're going to do it every year, but one thing we're going to try this year, because I don't know if we all watch maybe the same Christmas movies. I like Elf, for example. That's one I watch every year.
Die Hard.
There you go. Something I didn't know, I watched all of The Chosen. Apparently there's a Christmas special, and Dallas Jenkins shot the nativity story as a short film for his church. And so it almost served as a pilot for it. And I think that's how they helped him fund it. Anyway, there's a Christmas special. It's Mary and Joseph, and they, the whole thing, which is in it. So it's two episodes. So we've been saving that for December. So it's another nice way of getting the Christmas story, right?
I have to check it out.
Yeah. Kind of interesting.
One, you could also watch The Fellowship of the Ring, because they leave Rivendell
on December 25th. That's true.
Right?
Well,
another Christmas movie.
I watch that so often, and I always have it on with you guys because of the games we play. So I get plenty of The Fellowship.
I'm partially kidding there, but
yeah. No.
We used to always watch Charlie Brown, just because when he gets up and starts talking about them, that was so great to see that on
the mainstream
thing, talking about the reason for Christmas and talking
you
about
never
the
see
birth.
that.
And it was very, very just straight up,
It's just
I don't
standing
in
up
your face, but it was this is what it is.
Well,
there's
stopped
no, we're not going to
Sugarcoating it,
sugarcoat it at all or try to hide it at all. It was just, this is what it is. And I love that about Charlie Brown.
Was it?
And it holds up to today. Peanuts is just.
It's been a while. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does he start quoting the Bible?
He reads the story out of the Bible.
Also,
right?
Doesn't Pigpen start quoting?
Well, no, it was Linus.
It was Linus.
Yep, the blanket one.
Yeah,
not the dirty one.
Yeah, that's Pigpen because it's like a pig pen.
Yeah,
for the flies.
But I'm trying to think of some. I liked a lot of the things that you suggested for the, just some traditions that you could do, but also making cookies. But you do your Santa cookies and your Christmas tree cookies, but don't forget about the cross cookies and the. You could do more Christian based cookies also. But I also would love to hear anything that anyone who's listening, if you could put comments, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, just what do you guys do? And maybe other people might see it or we might see it and we can, incorporate those and try it and see how we like it, because that would be pretty cool.
And another way of looking at this too is don't forget the act of making the cookies together, with your daughter, your son, your niece, as just something to do together. That's going to be a memory for them, for you guys, Well,
and that's what's for. So you're creating that tradition, but at the same time, especially for little ones, you're creating those core memories, those things that you remember. I remember going to Uncle Blade's house and we were making those cookies. You don't know what else you were doing, but you remember making those cookies.
And then maybe he did something silly and that you may not even remember, but when they're older,
you put some of the powdered sugar right on the head.
Yes, Saruman.
Yeah, the right hand. Sorry, I had to.
Back to the Lord of the Rings. How does this keep going back to the Lord of the Rings?
I don't know.
Because it's a Christmas movie.
That's true.
That's true. Well, it's just the Fellowship, though.
Just the Fellowship.
No, to me, it's all a Christmas movie.
It's the publishers that made them do 3 books, so it's really just one.
Right. I don't mean to derail this too far, but once November rolls around, I like to start reading the Lord of the Rings again. So something about the season stuff, and I know it's one of my comfort books, and just reading it in the cold and
I can see just wanting to watch it more for sure, because I get it. It does have that kind of feel to it, but But is it because of the Lord of the Rings, or is it because the movies always came out around then?
They did come out in December.
because they would always come out. So you know what I'm saying? Like, is it just in our brains because it would come out that time of the year, and it was part of our childhood for so much, and we were like, yeah,
It was
Lord of
3
the Rings,
straight years.
yeah,
too.
that was kind of a big deal, you know?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it helps solidify, especially like, you know, as a kid, you know, and your imagination and the wilderness and going out
And you went with the family, right? Like,
Yeah.
you probably went
Oh,
with your
yeah.
dad
Yeah.
and everything.
Because our-
You're creating that.
because our dad had read it like 30, 40 times, you know. We just happened to get into it a little bit before the movies, so we were excited, but also like visiting like cousins in Massachusetts around that same time and walking around the wilderness. It just felt
And
very
we would shoot
oh
our
my
own
gosh.
scenes.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but yeah.
Oh, come on! It's part of the. It was like part of the tradition.
So
So it was terrible. We're not going to show it.
so obviously here
Here
I
it
am.
is. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, making a podcast. You have these cameras. You know, I do voiceover and production work. You know, a lot of commercial type stuff. And you know, I got into this because I like filmmaking stuff. So as kids, we would film the scene. So like we would pick characters, but sometimes we would do it straight. Sometimes we would just go off the rails and just make some sort of ridiculous twist. Like off the top of my head, one time we made Saruman Santa, and they were coming to the North Pole. Remember that?
I know.
And then, or we had Boromir die in the snow, and then we did that weird thing where he like fades away and comes back just because we found these special effects on the like.
I remember the one time. Remember when I'm getting off the rails a little bit? When Bilbo goes to drop the ring, and like the shot is
Oh,
forever. Then we did the shot, and then it like wouldn't fall off his hand either, and he basically got up to where it was upside down and it fell.
But I thought we kept filming it and like till we went upside down, and then we just kept going.
And then he started doing
back-
this. Like he started
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
he was like,
you're
"Get
right,
off."
You're right. Yep.
All right. So
yeah, that was a trip down memory lane.
But see, but really the point is like that was some together time.
you're
You
gonna
know,
you're
with-
gonna remember
with
those
your-
Christmases. You're
yeah.
gonna remember that season, that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we do.
right?
For sure.
And then just kind of one more reminder, you know, like the list of priorities. You know, God, family. You know, then yourself, and then your job. So like we can get, you know, with especially with our job, as it comes down to, you know, you have time off, you have things, and they're like, you got to get that project done, Jim. You gotta get that going. And then like you're spending late hours, so you're missing, you know, the play, you're missing the performance that your kids are doing, the school performance, or you're missing some tea thing that your church is putting on, or, you know, because, you know, work becomes, I got to get this done so I can enjoy Christmas, but you're not enjoying that season because your focus, your priorities have become work.
So sort of, you know, don't forget that you don't live to work. You work to live.
Right. And so like keeping that priority of like God first, family, then everything
Do a
else.
good job at your job, but you know,
Yeah.
you'll never get those
course.
memories that you missed back. You know, it's like I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in because I make sure to take time off, you know, during this period.
But some people get hung up in
Yeah.
the, you know, like I got to work those extra hours because I got to get that money so I can, you know, get that present that little
And
Timmy
again,
wants.
I
You know,
think this, you know, it all comes back to, you know, don't get consumed with the world.
Yeah.
Don't do what the rest of
Exactly.
the world does.
Well, right.
Right. Keep your priorities as a Christian
absolutely.
and as a family man and as a godly man or a godly woman, right? And just make sure that, you know, you keep that focus. And of course, like Blade said, of course it's important that you do well at your job, because we're supposed to, when we work at our job, we're supposed to do it as if we're doing it unto the Lord, right? It's important that you work hard and you do your job, but it shouldn't take precedent over God, and it shouldn't take precedent over,
Yeah.
you know, your family. So it's extremely important that
You got to be
you
present.
have to have that balance, and you are able to spend that time with your family. Don't get consumed.
Well, and I think also if you spend time talking with your family about, even if you've said it for the 15th time, you know, just to help as a reminder, you know, talking about the Christmas story, talking about the birth of Christ and why Jesus came, not just like the event itself, but like, why did that happen? Why did that have to happen? Because, you know, you fast forward to, you know, later in his life and the whole reason he
33
came.
years.
But you know what I mean? Like, to focus on that, because to help remind your kids, help remind your wife, help remind yourself of like, this is what we're going through. This is why we're doing this, why we're celebrating this day. You know, we do the gifts, we do the thing, but it's all about the time together, and it's all about honoring Christ and just knowing and basically giving thanks after Thanksgiving and be like, you know, we are
because we got the best gift,
Right.
Yep.
you know, and that's what, you know, that gift giving is supposed to be a reminder of. Like, we already got that best gift.
Yep.
Yes.
There's nothing we can receive in this world that is going to be better than what he did on the cross.
Yep. Amen. Anyone have anything else before we wrap this up?
I know I got lots of training to do to get ready. So, you guys don't. I mean, I got to load on the cookies and everything because it's really hard to go around the world in one night.
Oh,
Okay,
Santa,
Santa.
right.
To deliver,
Yeah, that's right.
Apparently, there's a.
How much food do you give to the reindeer? Like, do they?
Well, it's pretty easy because they, a lot of times people leave out carrots, so like they're well fed throughout the world. I mean,
Oh,
some
I didn't even think about that.
They, I mean, they do have some dietary restrictions. Like when they go to different countries, they might give them something that might upset their tum-tums a little bit.
Well, I
but-
always leave oatmeal out for and I put a little bit carrots. Me and Leilani, we do that. We throw it out into the grass for them to eat.
I'm sure they thank
Do
you
you
for
really?
that. Well, what
Yeah.
about on the roof? Because do they land on your? I mean, I guess we don't know. I mean,
Unfortunately, my roof's kind of high, so I just hope that they come by and graze.
that's true. That's
You know,
true.
because second story, I don't want to be not risking it for the reindeer there.
Anyways, I might have been confused with Santa a few times. Like nothing like walking through the mall and give a kid a wink, or like someone just like looks at you and like the kid just kind of stares as like they're going by.
You got to go like that.
I do. I and it was best is when I do put on like a Santa hat or something, and it's like I'm in public.
You ever
That's
you ever hear a
fantastic.
kid like just screaming about wanting a toy and be like, just put it on your list.
Right? or I'll have a student, because I'm a teacher, I'll have a student be like, you look like Santa. I'm like, yeah, and the way you're acting, you're getting cold, buddy. So, anyways, I just thought it was fun.
You have anything?
No, I think that's all we got.
Yeah, I think that's about all the time we have for today. We would love to hear about any traditions you have, or maybe you have a new idea for a tradition. Comment those below on YouTube if that's how you're watching. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That's where we are most active. And if you don't follow us on social media yet, and you're just listening on YouTube or Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you may be finding this podcast, don't forget to follow us on social media. We post more than just clips of the episodes. We post Bible verses and other fun little things, and it helps us grow. And right now we are trying to do a big push on YouTube to get to 500 subscribers. So if you're not following us on YouTube yet, even if you're not listening to us on YouTube, please give us a follow on there, because just having the 500 subscribers gets us a lot of benefits for our channel that we really need to keep growing this podcast. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, we do have a Fourth Wall shop. You'll be able to find the link to that in the description of this episode. Lots of fun merchandise. If you look over at Dustin's shirts for this episode,
Right
we
here.
have the Crown of Thorns shirt. And Lance is wearing the We Who Endure logo shirt with Matthew 24:13. This was one of the prototypes where the logo was a little high. We have now lowered it just a little bit. But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. We love you, and God bless.
God bless.